Welcome to the channel Witness for Jesus. This is Dawn. Over the past few days I uploaded 2 audio recordings of a Judicial Committee for apostasy and the audio recording of the Appeal Committee for apostasy, and at the end of it all the decision was made to disfellowship the lady concerned. The links to those audios are underneath this video if you've not heard them. The lady concerned received a letter. I think it was either yesterday or the day before. It was very, very recent. And this was from the congregation concerned. However, it's clear that the congregation concerned have sought legal advice. I'm going to read the letter to you. You should know that this is in response to the lady having written to the congregation. Despite the decision to disfellowship, she has stated that she believes this is a breach of data protection because she's not attended the Kingdom Hall for over 3 years and she's not consented to her name being announced in any fashion to the congregation. So this letter's in response to that, and I'm going to read it to you now. Re-proposed announcement of disfellowshipping. We write in response to your letter to the Judicial and Appeal Committee dated April 15, 2019. We are responding to this letter on behalf of the Congregation of Jehovah's Witnesses. We note that you do not consent to an announcement regarding your membership. However, the General Data Protection Procedure Regulation 2018, GDPR, allows the processing of the personal data of members and former members under Articles 6, 1 and F, and 9, 2 and D, if the processing is necessary for our legitimate purposes. In view of your objection to an announcement, we are treating your request as an objection to processing under Article 21 GDPR. Article 21 of the GDPR requires processing of personal data to be stopped only when certain grounds are met. We have reviewed the grounds and conclude that there are compelling, legitimate grounds for processing your personal data which override your interests, rights and freedoms for the reasons set out below. Announcements of disfellowshipping are made in accordance with the religious beliefs and practices and the legitimate religious interests of Jehovah's Witnesses. As you are aware, disfellowshipping refers to the action taken by a congregation of Jehovah's Witnesses against a member who has unrepentantly committed a serious sin. Where this takes place, the publication, organised to do Jehovah's will, the current version is available on jw.org and earlier version in hard copy form, states at page 141 that the following brief announcement is made to inform the congregation. Name of person is no longer one of Jehovah's Witnesses. The proposed announcement. The purpose of the proposed announcement is to inform members of the congregation that you are no longer one of Jehovah's Witnesses. This is necessary to adhere to a fundamental tenet of our beliefs, as found at 1 Corinthians 5, 11-13, as well as other scriptural texts. The proposed announcement is in a neutral form and will convey minimal personal information about you. Strict confidentiality is maintained regarding the matters discussed in confidence between you and the Judicial and Appeal Committees. The proposed announcement is accordingly limited to what is strictly necessary for the purpose of informing the congregation about the termination of your membership status as one of Jehovah's Witnesses. Decisions on membership as one of Jehovah's Witnesses and the announcement of such decisions are based on Bible principles and are part of the core beliefs and practices of Jehovah's Witnesses worldwide. As such, these practices are protected by Article 10 of the Charter of Fundamental Rights of the European Union and 9 and 11 of the European Convention on Human Rights. For these reasons, it is denied that the elders of the congregation will infringe any of your legal rights or breach any obligations in law by making the announcement. In addition, you will recall that to become one of Jehovah's Witnesses, you, in common with all persons who wish to become witnesses, had to study the beliefs and practices of Jehovah's Witnesses, which include being active in the preaching activity, discipline in the congregation, expulsion, and reinstatement. Before you were baptised as one of Jehovah's Witnesses, you had to accept these beliefs as true, personally dedicate yourself in prayer to God, and make your desire to become one of Jehovah's Witnesses known to the body of elders in the congregation with which you associated. The local congregation elders would have had extensive discussions with you to make sure that you fully understood basic Bible teachings and the beliefs of Jehovah's Witnesses. Evidently, the local elders considered that you qualified for baptism as one of Jehovah's Witnesses, and you subsequently symbolised your dedication by water baptism. Only then were you considered to be one of Jehovah's Witnesses. Your affirmative action indicated your full consent to the religious practices of Jehovah's Witnesses, which include those relating to disfellowshipping, as outlined above. In all the circumstances, we consider that there are compelling legitimate grounds for processing your personal data which override your interests, rights and freedoms for the following reasons. Accordingly, for these reasons, your objection to processing your personal data in relation to the proposed announcement is refused. The proposed announcement will be made on Wednesday, the 1st of May 2019. Please note, with regard to this decision, you have the right to make a request to the Information Commissioner's Office, ICO, in accordance with Article 12 GDPR, or lodge a complaint with the ICO, or seek a judicial remedy in accordance with Article 12 GDPR. Okay, that's the end of the letter. Note that the announcement is to be made on Wednesday the 1st of May, which hopefully this video will be uploaded in the afternoon of that day. Therefore, there was no time given for the lady to actually lodge a complaint with the ICO. Literally, the announcement would be made before she had any time to lodge a complaint or respond in any sense to this letter. Well, she has responded, and she's sought some advice, and she's put a letter together, and she has already given this letter to the elders, and I'm going to read it to you. I write with reference to your letter dated 29th of April 2019, advising that the congregation has legitimate reasons for announcing that I am no longer one of Jehovah's Witnesses. You state that your reasons for ignoring data protection requirements in regard to my data are upheld to the detriment of my own rights and freedoms. I strongly contend your reasons for upholding this decision. You indicate that I joined the Jehovah's Witnesses in full knowledge of my decision and with full consent for you to use my data. This is not true at all. The facts are as follows. At my baptism, I was a minor child aged 17. I was not informed at the time that private data would be held about me, and I did not consent at the time for data to be held about me. It was certainly not made clear to me at any time before my baptism that confidential congregation records would be held about me. Further, I did not willingly or knowingly enter into a contract with an organisation. I was led to believe that my baptism signified a dedication to Jehovah God and only Him, and for me, my baptism constituted a dedication to God and did not include the Watchtower organisation, which is a corporate business organisation. Furthermore, and very significantly, when I got baptised at the age of 17, I wasn't aware of the huge damaging impact that simply disagreeing with the religion at any future time would have. Had I known, I would never have gotten baptised. At 17 and a legal minor, I feel I was strongly coerced into baptism. Being coerced into baptism does not constitute a contract of any kind. I would like to make the point that during my appeal hearing to appeal the disfellowshipping decision, the elders twice made reference to my baptism as an agreement and a contract. How is it possible to make a contract with an ill-informed minor child? This apparent contract was not documented and was referred to as being a verbal contract. I must state that upon appearing for my actual immersion in water on the day of my baptism, I was unaware of the questions which would be asked. When the questions were asked, including question 2, which referred to identifying myself with the Spirit-directed organisation, I simply agreed alongside the many others who were candidates for baptism, being totally unaware of any contract which was being entered into with an organisation named Watchtower Bible and Tract Society. In your letter you also mention I went through the questions for baptism in an attempt to say I was aware of the decision and its consequences, yet not one of the questions tackled the subject of disfellowshipping in any clear manner. As such, I was given false information. Whilst I was aware of the practice of disfellowshipping, I was anecdotally in the congregation, and not formally prior to baptism, informed that those who are disfellowshipped have committed very serious sin and are unrepentant. Any knowledge I had of disfellowshipping was given to me indirectly. Also, any knowledge I had of potential disfellowshipping was that I would only ever be disfellowshipped in the case of gross, unrepentant and repeated wrongdoing. You stated in paragraph 4 of your letter that a person is disfellowshipped for committing a serious sin. You have proposed to make a false announcement about me by quoting 1 Corinthians 5 verses 11 to 13 in relation to my particular case. As you are fully aware, I have committed no such sin. The passage says the sins of concern are those of an immoral person, or covetous, or an idolater, or a reviler, or a drunkard, or a swindler. As a faithful Christian married woman, I fully uphold my marriage vows, and as such claim you have no right. To make, keep, or hold a record of such announcement is a defamation of character and entirely untrue. You have chosen to disfellowship me because I simply disagree with the beliefs of Jehovah's Witnesses. To disfellowship or excommunicate a member simply for openly disagreeing with some teachings of the Jehovah's Witnesses is totally unscriptural. Moreover, the practice of disfellowshipping a person who simply disagrees, publicly but not in the congregation, was never explained to me before my baptism. Many of the Bible teachings that I held as truth at the time of my baptism have changed since then. 2 of which are the generation teaching and who the faithful and discreet slave is. Both of these teachings are absolutely central to Jehovah's Witness beliefs. These teachings have changed, yet you are unwilling to even consider that current teachings could possibly be in error. My personal data should have been destroyed since I did not sign the notice and consent for use of personal data form S290, which is recent British law. Your statement in paragraph 6 is not sound basis for your legitimate reason. According to the General Data Protection Regulations, GDPR, legitimate interest means you hold my data in the way that I reasonably expect, and which apply to the relationship between you as representatives of the organisation and myself. May I clarify, there is no sound basis or explicit consent given for my personal information to be disclosed to people who I have not had regular contact with, and as a result, my consent had long been withdrawn. I have not attended your meetings for over 3 years. Once you make one mention of my name, you have wrongly given information to those who I had or have no regular contact. As such, you have publicly defamed my character and affected my life and family relationships without any reasonable grounds in law or in the light of the current UK Data Protection Act. Announcing my name would create a chain reaction, which I would like to avoid and which have far-reaching effects. You mention in paragraph 5 of the European Convention on Human Rights that you are exercising your right to announce my name as no longer one of Jehovah's Witnesses. However, Article 9 states I have the freedom to change my religion. Article 9 should protect those who wish to change religion against discrimination or punishment as a result of changing religion. You expect me to pay a price, however, not respecting my rights to leave a religion without penalty, and the price to me is that being shunned by my Jehovah's Witness family and friends with great personal detriment. Article 18 also mentions in part freedom of thought, conscience and religion, but in the Jehovah's Witness group this is not upheld. It is a fact that Jehovah's Witnesses are told to obey the governing body, organisation, directors in all things. Moreover, as this entire episode demonstrates, an individual cannot even disagree with the religion of Jehovah's Witnesses without serious detriment to themselves, their family, and their entire social structure. Sadly, from your printed literature and the platform, we are constantly told to obey the faithful and discreet slave, even if their instruction doesn't seem logical from a human standpoint. This is something I simply do not accept. My right to hold such view and my right to freedom of speech as a British citizen should be upheld in this matter. I am also concerned about forms and written information which you are holding concerning me. According to the Shepherd the Flock of God 2019 edition, Chapter 17, under the heading Appeal Hearing, paragraphs 1 and 2, it states that if the Judicial Committee receives a letter of appeal within 7 days of notification, the chairman should promptly call the circuit overseer, who will arrange for an appeal committee. Note please that I have not given consent for an S77 form to be filled in on my behalf, and again this means you are holding record of data to which I do not consent. This is a breach of confidentiality and data protection. I will be lodging a formal complaint with the ICO regarding this matter. Therefore, I would expect the announcement to be put on hold until such time. This is a serious matter, and I would rather not proceed with further action. For future reference, I wish to be addressed as Mrs. and not Ms, as you are fully aware of my marital status. Yours sincerely. Okay, so I can keep you informed. The question is, are they going to make that announcement tonight? Or, in light of this response letter, will they delay and allow the sister opportunity to actually contact the ICO and to make clear whether it is in fact okay for them to speak her name publicly in such a way? And we know that if somebody is not considered one of Jehovah's Witnesses, which she is not, she has not attended the Kingdom Hall for 3 years, that really it's against their own rules to disfellowship someone who is not considered to be one of Jehovah's Witnesses. It seems to me that the decision to disfellowship is purely because of the situation of apostasy, and to have been seen distributing leaflets that have negative information in them about the Jehovah's Witnesses, even if that's distributing them to the public, apparently is really the unforgivable sin. And regulation goes out the window, it seems, and so do the scriptures, because it's absolutely unscriptural. Nothing in scripture speaks of this, and as the lady quite rightly pointed out, she is not guilty of the sins that are outlined in the scripture they quoted. That was absolutely shocking. So please keep the lady in your prayers. Of course, for obvious reasons, I can't provide names, but keep her and her husband and her family in your prayers. Thank you.